as I mentioned before, these can be made out of several different kinds of wood. What I do is to take 9 pieces of contrasting colors of wood. These would be maple and apricot in this case. We glue those 3 together, and these 3 together, and those 3 together. When they're dry, you want to sand the edges entirely flat, and then glue those pieces together to make a block. This block should be 2.5 to 3 inches square and about 3.5 inches long. They can also be made out of a solid piece of wood. This is a piece of an apricot tree. It would work very well because it's a contrasting color between the hardwood and the sapwood. It needs to be dry. This would make a good one. This is Osage orange. After these pieces are glued together, we trim the end off so that they're flush, and then cut the corners off so it makes it a little easier to turn on the lathe. Drill centering holes for the tailstock and headstock on your lathe. And then we turn those into a spool shape. This needs to be about 1.5 inches, 1 inch to 1.5 inches wide, and 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch in depth. After you turn that, then you turn that piece into, cut the pattern that you want in the center of it. This one would be an angel. And after those edges are trimmed off, those 2 pieces are then turned inside out. These edges are trimmed, and those 2 pieces would be glued together, and that would give a silhouette of an angel. These pieces have been trimmed already. You can see the cut. This will be a cross. We turn those inside out, glue them back together. When those are dry, then you glue the other 2 together and end up with a block like this. There will be a small hole in the end as these are glued together, so we cover the end piece with a small piece of scrap stock. In this case, I use 1/4 inch plywood. Trim the corners off again, and then put it back on your lathe and turn it to the final outside shape that you want. This is a piece of Russian olive. At that point, then you cut the ends off like that and turn a small finial piece for the bottom end and some little washers-like things to go on the top. And so you end up with an ornament. This is a bell shape. And you can see the design comes out on all 4 sides, and it's hollow and very light. Some of these designs take a special tool because of the small cuts that you make deep into that piece before it gets cut into quarters. As you can see, this is one solid piece, and you slit it and cut it into quarters. I make my own tools for those, and the best thing that I have found is to use an old file and grind the tang of the file down to the shape that you want. In this case, I need a little very narrow round end scraper and a very sharp pointed scraper. And I will now take you over to the lathe, and I'll show you how to turn those inside cuts for the heart on the star, since they take a special tool.